Hello everyone, and welcome to Transmute Yourself, where we talk about topics related to fear of commitment so that you can create your own fulfilling relationship. Today we're going to talk about the question, what is love? Now imagine you're starting a relationship, you're very excited, you even cannot stop thinking about the person that you're going out with, you're very happy, you're smiling all the time, you feel this strong connection and these butterflies in your stomach, and you think, wow, it's so beautiful to be in love. It's as if you have this cloud of energy around you that makes everything look so beautiful and shiny and with light. And then a couple of months pass by and this feeling, this strong feeling starts degrading or dissipating. But you were very attached to that state, that emotional state. So you start doubting that this is actually love anymore. Maybe something happened. Maybe the other person is not the one. Or maybe you have a problem and you start just having so many thoughts about the relationship because this is not what you were used to or what you were expecting. Now this happens especially, this judgment of the losing of that feeling happens especially to people that tend to judge themselves a lot or are very hard on themselves. But it can happen to anyone in the end. It's just the level of it and how much importance we give to that loss of the strong connection and this infatuation stage, as it's called sometimes. That level depends on how much we judge ourselves and how much we beat ourselves up. Now, what happens after that stage? And that's a question that I get commonly asked, especially from people with fear of commitment or with relationship OCD. So this is the purpose of this video. What is really love, especially in a relationship? And so that we can see what that looks like in a stable relationship once that phase has dissipated or is over, and once whatever is left after that continues. Now, whatever definition I will try to come up with in this video, don't take it as law. Don't take it as written on stone. Experience it or do your best to realize it within you. Because otherwise these are just words, and in the end these are just concepts, definitions that we as humans come up with so that we can understand what is it that we're feeling or what is it that we're experiencing or the things that we see around us. But they are just that. So perhaps it can help you to just get rid of the mindset of needing to know what something is and what something isn't. Because all there is really is this present moment. So to me, love is our natural state of being. What do I mean by that? As we're born, right, as we're very little babies, you can just imagine a little baby right now as I'm speaking to you. That to me is love. That's unconditional, like a little ball of unconditional love. A baby won't judge his father or his mother for thinking in a specific way or for being one way or another. They simply are. And they smile and they just transmit this aura of full unconditional acceptance and love of everything and everyone that's around them. A little baby can see someone without an arm or someone drunk, and he won't think that's a weird person. There won't be this type of judgment. They simply see and they accept. And that is because this is previous to the creation of our conditioned self, our conditioned egos that create all these judgments and these ideas and then generate all these emotions of rejection or disgust or anger, all these type of things. Of course, babies do feel emotions, but they are natural emotions coming out of the need of the present moment, such as when they're for example, hungry, or when they're ignored by their parents and they're just cold or whatever it is. These are those original emotions, but then we extend a lot of those things through the lens of our minds as our egos are created. So let's just go back to that little baby. That, to me, that state behind or before the creation of our egos, that's unconditional love. Another example that I can think of is dogs. So have you ever been in the streets and seen perhaps a homeless person outside of a store or wherever, and sitting with a dog next to him, and the dog looks just so close to that person? That to me is love. There's no judgment from the dog. He's just there and he just loves being with that homeless person without judging him for not having any money, or thinking I will leave this master. I could find another owner elsewhere that gives me proper food and proper shelter for the cold and everything. But no, they just stay there, and there's a sense of deep acceptance even when that homeless person is drunk or whatever it is. That to me is our original state of being. Now, how can we take that into our present day adults? We're not dogs, we're not little babies, right? We're adults and we have our egos, we have our personalities, our beliefs, and our stories and everything. The surprising part is that we still have access to that unconditional, innocent, you could call, love that hides within all of those patterns, beliefs, personality traits, and stories and experiences that we have. And you can access that at every single moment of your life, even when you're being triggered, even when you have fear or an urge to escape a relationship or whatever it is that doesn't feel good. You have access to that, and it takes just one single deep breath to get there. Simply get into that space, that transcendental space where you are not all of the things that you think you are. Where you're not your name, where you're not your nationality, where you're not even your body, or your desires, or your needs, or your wishes. If you go behind all of those layers of things that you think you are, that is the present moment, and that is that conscious awareness, that transcendental, unconditioned space that hides and lies within you. That's the same space that lies in a baby or in a dog. And that to me is our source. Now, where does love come from then? It comes from that space where we're not judging others, where we are simply that awareness. So what does it take to get there, apart from just trying to breathing in and accessing that? The second part of this lifelong exercise is to recognize those patterns and those beliefs and those ideas that are blocking us from accessing that. And apart from recognizing them, questioning them, trying to see the truth behind them. That again is a lifelong journey, because we'll always find little things and beliefs and ideas that just go against reality, and that makes us feel certain emotions, which by the way is a sign of our bodies that something is off in our mindset. And then we can go back with a deeper connection to that aspect of ourselves, which is actually our true essence, or our true self, that awareness. So from the space of awareness where there's no judgment, then it's easier to love. And you have to start with yourself. This is the biggest problem that we have, I think, many times in our society, which is we expect someone to give us love, And we expect someone to make us feel in certain ways. Like I was saying at the beginning with infatuation, we expect the partner to make us feel excited and attracted and all of this. When in reality, when we come from this source and this essence that I was describing, love comes from within, and it starts with acceptance. So this is one characteristic that comes from this source. I'm gonna be telling you a couple of other characteristics that I think are very, very associated with love and with consciousness. You can come up with your own. Remember that these are just concepts. It's important to experience them. So again, acceptance starting with yourself, full acceptance of your whole life, of your whole body, of your mind, of your ideas, of your ruminating thoughts if you have those, of your fears. Accepting all of that after recognizing that all of that is not you in your essence, that is very powerful, because then you can accept others, because you won't be needing others to accept you first. Then you will just accept yourself, and you will see, you will take distance, I think, from the ego-based need of getting validation from others, or from having others make you feel in a certain way. That may come up, yes, and it's part of being human, but you will take distance from that, and you will see it from another light, from the light of, oh, that's just my personality doing its thing. And then after that recognition, you will come back to your essence, to yourself, and you will accept others just as they are. And now this is important as well, because as you come from this deeper dimension of yourself and you accept yourself as a whole, then you will more easily connect to that essence and that consciousness of the other person and go beyond the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body. Meaning you will go behind all of the things that you thought made the other person, which, by the way, are part of them as a human being, but are not the transcendental part that really creates that connection. So in reality, if we think about it this way, and I haven't talked about couples or relationships, romantic relationships yet, this full acceptance comes accompanied with other expressions of that essence that can be felt perhaps in us as connection or as joy, other states of being, we can call them. And we can feel those things apart from appreciation, let's say, with anyone. It doesn't have to be just our partner. So if you come from this place where you see others as souls, as consciousness in a human body, having a human experience, you won't be judging their emotional reactions that much. Or if you do, you will observe that, and you will also take distance from that. You won't be judging them for their physical appearance or for their comments or their opinions. You will see them as a perfect human soul in a perfect human body, and you will feel well. So does this mean that you will fall in love with anyone that you see on the streets, for example? Not necessarily. You will feel perhaps joy and connection, and at times you may even feel a little bit of that love, but it's simply a huge or deep appreciation of the other person's being. So you will perhaps see that, and you will keep going about with your life. It doesn't mean that you have to date everyone that you feel something for. Now, how do you decide then when it is time for this to become something of a romantic relationship? And I think that's a valid, great question. And in the end, I believe that this is just, it's apart from a decision where you see this person has certain things, certain values or traits that you believe are compatible to create a future together, and then you can take that decision. Coming from this conscious and unconditional love or space of love, then it's easier to take that decision. And I think in the end that romantic love becomes sort of like a reflection of your own love that flows from within and that starts from this awareness, this transcendental dimension that then goes through self-acceptance and acceptance of everyone and everything else. And then that to me is part of that unconditional love. And then that just shines back to you, that is reflected back to you from another human being in such a way that that creates a deep bond and a deep connection. And then it's easier just to take a decision. All right, let's go with this person. Let's create something together. Of course, this may begin all the human emotions and bodily emotions that I was talking about at the beginning. But you will, once that's over, you will go beyond that. And you will know that there's still a connection at another level, at a deeper transcendental level that does not need to always be excited or to be super attracted to feel love, because this will be already something more unconditional and transcendental that is in love with the being of the other person, going through the traits, going through the ideas and the things that sometimes may bother you or may bother your mind, let's say. But beyond all of that, if you can create that distance and access that dimension from within yourself, then you will love that person despite their perceived flaws. Now, what else can be expressed from this dimension into actual love as a couple, right? Romantic love. I think it's also a journey, a process. This process of creating something together on this earth as human beings, creating a family or project or simply bonding in conversations in every level, right? In the physical, mental, or emotional level. Those things are also beautiful, and that can create a deeper bond between each other without losing sight of that transcendental dimension that I was talking about. Because if we see something suddenly that bothers us and we forget who the person really is, which is that soul within that body, then we may get frustrated, we may feel anger, we may distance ourselves from that person. So again, focusing on that process and that journey itself, and not on a specific goal or something to achieve, because that just may take away the fun and the enjoyment of being with someone. Another point that I want to make about love is it is also freedom. I said before that it was a decision, right? Or that there was a decision in between of staying with a specific person. But it is a conscious, freely made decision. You're always free to stay in the relationship and to decide every single day that you want to stay in that relationship. And you're always free to go as well. Every relationship is free to do whatever they want. If one day one of the two persons says, this is it, like I'm not ready for this, that can happen, and they are free to go. So that freedom and that sense of no one is forcing you to stay there, but it's a conscious, freely made decision. I think that is power, because you're not forcing the other person to stay with you. And that allows the other person to simply flow and to be who they are without trying to fulfill all the time your expectations, or without you trying to fulfill all the time their expectations. And that creates a sense of respect and of letting be and of letting go of control that reduces the pressure and the stress in both partners and just allows each to be. And this is also love to me. This is also this unconditional love that can come in relationships. Now you might ask, what happens if the other person hurts you or abuses you or is simply not being nice to you. And of course, this can happen. This is what I sometimes call red flags in a relationship. And of course, you can go. I said before that you're free to stay, and every day is a decision to stay or to go. You can do that. But you don't necessarily have to stop loving that person in the sense of the unconditional love that I'm talking about. You won't necessarily have to let go of that person from your heart. And I'm not saying that you will be in love with the person or that you won't forget about the person and won't be able to date anymore. No, I'm saying you're not gonna hold a grudge for that person or be mad at them because they are simply being who they are. That's part of their nature. They are angry. They have their own issues. They most probably cannot even control themselves, and that's not easy for them. That's their journey. And in the first place, perhaps they were with you because that resonated with something within you from your past. But perhaps you're not ready to be there anymore. You have grown, and that's not who you want to be with anymore. And that is also okay. The moment that you hold a grudge against a person and that you cannot let go, you're only affecting yourself. And you're coming from that place of, again, conditioned mind and conditioned self, and not from that transcendental dimension that I was talking about. So at that point, you're free to choose someone that is more conscious, perhaps, and that has other characteristics that you now, in your new state of consciousness, consider to be more suitable to create something together. So all of these things that I'm talking about, they can come if you're a conscious person and you really want to see the world through these pairs of eyes that I'm talking about in this video. You can do that from the beginning of a relationship. You won't let the lens of infatuation deceive you and make you think that that's love anymore. You will see it as what it is, a natural hormonal, chemical, biochemical process of the body that actually might have been developed or evolved as a way for us to reproduce, and that after that there can be a sense of more like a spiritual connection between each other that is long-lasting, sustainable, and that looks for solutions and just enjoys the process of being with each other. Now, an exercise that I want to give you to put these teachings into practice is the staring game. You can sit in front of each other, right? Sit in front of your partner, and you can just stare at each other for 1 to 3 minutes, let's say. And the exercise is not just the staring part, but also the observation of your own states, emotional states as they come and go. So you might feel a little bit uncomfortable, for example. You might feel this some tension, some worry that the other person might be looking at some of your flaws, whatever it is. Just let that go. Simply observe that as waves and let that go. Observe also any judgments that come, and also judgments of the other person's traits or anything that comes. Observe that, let that go, and keep staring. Just use your willpower there just to keep staring, even if it's uncomfortable. And then try to see beyond the physical body of the person through the eyes, right? Just try to stay present, seeing, looking at, and staring at, you could say, the soul of the person. As they say, the eyes are the windows of the soul. If you can do that by trying to connect your consciousness with the consciousness of that person and just stay there for a couple of minutes, it's like a meditation. You will really find a new type of connection, even unconditional, during that moment. And it's beautiful. That can really create some new feelings in you that you might have not known in the past that are more related to real love and not just the infatuation that is felt at the beginning of a relationship. Now, try to take this state of being in your day to day as you see your partner doing things or complaining or smiling, doing what she or he does as a human being, and just try to appreciate the whole being of that person, from their body to their emotions to their thoughts to their being. And you will see how, as you practice this, first with yourself, this self-acceptance and appreciation of yourself, and then with your partner, you will see how your relationship changes and how you can evolve and transcend from your conditioned idea of love into something that is way, way beyond that, way more powerful, long lasting, and fulfilling. This has been it for today's video. If you have any comments, any questions, let me know. And I invite you also to like this video, to subscribe, to share with anyone else, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you.